So this, I mean, if we are referring to the single, and like I was able to find a compilation that existed
Yes.
on Spotify that was called "How High the Moon" and was all, well, it was credited to Les Paul, and also all the tracks had Mary Ford's name in them as well.
Right.
I guess I'm wondering, like, and we did not prepare you for this question, Doug. So like, get ready for we're throwing you a curveball here.
And we're live, right?
Well, yeah, we're live. This is
baby.
happening live right
Okay.
now.
Okay.
When do you think, because I have a thought on this, and maybe Tyler does too, when do you think albums went from just being compilations of songs that had been recorded into something that was put out with great intention by the artist who made it? Like they decided this is all has to be packaged together because it's all part of the same message, as opposed to it just being like, I'm thinking about like those first two collections of Beatles songs where it's like you either had the red one or the blue one, or you got both of them. It's just all their tracks like just put together.
Yeah.
When do you think, and this, it feels like most of Les Paul's and Mary Ford's music exists in that way to us right now, and it was made that way at the time. So like, when do you think albums became albums?
There's a term concept album,
right?
That's out, and to me the first concept album, which was kind of like a unified thread, if you want to go that way, that as opposed to, I mean, to distinguish from, say, a soundtrack for a Broadway show, because musical,
different.
that's a unified thread, but that's different. But a concept album that I think really was, to me, the first was Dark Side of the Moon.
Okay.
Because that was 70. What year was that?
72.
72. I gotta believe there's something out in the 60s though that predated it. I have to believe.
Yeah.
Well, it's there was a lot of stuff that was just pop oriented, catchy for radio play, all designed for radio play. Just catchy little love songs.
Yeah.
And that's where I think Dark Side came in.
Because it's also something to do with the media, right? So it's like something to do with the fact that it is being kind of, because before this it would probably be like operas, like operas are like unified musical pieces that ended up on a recorded medium, but they're, like their core presentation is on stage. But a recording of an opera, does that count as an album? I don't know. I think maybe those leading on from that, it's when you start to have more specific concepts, like the closer you drill in on a concept, that seems to define what a recorded album is, right?
Yeah, I think so. It's hard to say.
Right. Dark Side seems late to me, but I would accept an argument that it is the first like real album with that spirit.
Yeah. Now, when you think more of the, I don't know, maybe some of Joni Mitchell's things.
You wouldn't think that, like, see, because the album I think of is like Sgt. Pepper, because while it's not, I wouldn't know if I would call it a concept album, but it does feel sort of like, there's something about all those tracks put together that makes it seem like that, like they belong together. Less so than on something like, I don't know, Rubber Soul. And let's be fair, we have not technically talked about the Beatles yet on this podcast, so that will be when that day comes, that'll be a banner day. But I don't know. I always hear Sgt. Pepper as a collection of songs that needs to be together.
You're right. You're right, actually, and I think they put that together purposely. The Beatles, I think, the song selection was deliberate, the sequencing was deliberate.
Day in the Life at the end specifically.
So yeah, that's a good point. What was that? Was that 68?
67.
Or
Sgt. Pepper was 67. Yeah. Like I was confirming those dates, and one of the first, when you go onto Wikipedia, and one of the first they talk about is Woody Guthrie as well. That there are some concepts to protest music being being albumified. So I think this is like, what's cool is that you're sort of bringing us a different shade with your argument seems to be mostly based on kind of like the historical importance of the track and like kind of what it meant for music on a higher level. Would you say that that is one of, and it seemed, if I remember correctly, that was kind of a standard that you expressed for a perfect album on your first appearance.
Yeah.
So is that kind of historical importance something that you place paramount when you're considering what a perfect album is?
Yeah, I think so. You're right. I mean, especially in that context of just talking to you guys, for your purposes, it isn't so much, hey, I think this is a great album that I love to listen to and do whatever. I mean, that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. But I wanted to, both this and the other one, I just wanted to go deeper and say, okay, yeah, it's a great album. You'll love it. It's cool stuff and everything. Look what it meant.
Yeah.
It had legs. You know what I mean?
It did.
It influenced.
You're definitely the technical aspect of it. Like Wendy Carlos's Switched On Bach being kind of like the seminal electronic album, being the album that sort of like started the fuse, the fuse beginning on electronic music and basically electronic sound in many ways with the Moog synthesizer. And then this feels like from the perspective of like we're zooming out, I think, as well. When we are zooming out and we're like thinking about how we as humans hear sound and how there have been these kind of seminal people who have used technologies to unlock that perspective in us. I really see that argument, actually.
Yeah. No, that's a very, very good point. And I think that it as far as this Les Paul, Mary Ford stuff, it touches every genre in the few after it, right? I mean, whereas like the electronic stuff, all right, so Moog synthesizer, really, really where that gravitated was rock and jazz or fusion. Right. That's where the synthesizer really got, had its heyday. You never really saw it in serious classical music at all, right?
Right.
So it didn't go there. But this stuff, what really is the recording technique, not so much the musical stylings or the technology or the just their technique and their musicality. I mean, if you heard these songs today, like if Madonna put out put out this cover of How the Moon, you'd say, well, this is just bubblegum trash, right?
Well, there's,
I don't know.
This is lightweight.
I don't think it's. I wouldn't talk about it that way. I don't necessarily think it's trash. I mean, it's funny that we're talking about Wendy Carlos now as well and like electronic music, because I will say that when I listened to the whole compilation, and so I got to hear the sort of like way that Les Paul, his finger picking style and whatnot, and I will say that a couple tracks on this, I think the one with the name Johnny, and I can't remember the exact name of that one, but like as I listened to that, it sounded like music from an 8-bit video game. Like, I was just thinking about like the way his finger picking, like a lot of early electronic music, in some ways I think was kind of mimicking the way when they wanted to create a guitar sound, it was the way Les Paul sounded when he was finger picking. Like I was like brought back. I was immediately like sitting in my basement playing Mega Man 3, like going through that as I heard this music. And I don't know if they thought they were necessarily replicating guitar. Maybe they did, but
I wonder.
It's just, I mean, it is sort of it's maybe a sound that we don't realize has become part of the canon, or we don't recognize like it as a ubiquity. Stepping stone on the way to the way people play electric guitar today.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. It definitely I can see where it sounds where it would evoke that in you.
So here's my question to you, Doug. So we know that it sounds like your standards here, you're talking about it has to have significant historical significance, significant historical importance. But my question to you is, does it also have to be beautiful for an album to be perfect?
Well, I'd say it should. I mean,
it should. Okay.
It should. But
good.
I
but
guess
not necessarily is what your tone says.
but I'm also throwing in there the the musicality and the musicianship that goes into it, especially given the time and how different, how much of a departure it is just from other things. So we have the Andrews sisters and their tight harmonies. Well, you needed 3 of them, right? But here we have one Mary Ford that's gonna get the work done. So put 2 other Andrews sisters out of business.
She can do the work of 3 Andrews sisters.
Yeah, it's kind of like AI today. How many? We don't need any of those musicians anymore, right? But
God forbid.
Yeah, right. God forbid.
Bite your tongue. Bite your tongue.
Didn't hear it from me. No. Edit that out.
We get what you're saying, though. It makes sense, and we understand that that's the kind of stakes we're talking about when we talk about these technological advances. So okay, well, we've gone a kind of we should have known that we'd go a kind of circuitous way. I love this. I love this about when we meet.
I can't stick to it.
I love it, but. we're kind of in the zone now where we probably want to kind of move on. I kind of see where your argument is for why this album is perfect, don't you, Michael? Do you kind of see?
I think so. Do we? But Tyler,
I think we should deliberate though, right?
Well, or specifically, we should move on to the deliberation phase.
Okay. Dun, dun, dun.
Exactly. Okay, I'll go first since you went first last time.
Do I need a lawyer?
It's up to you.
You don't need a lawyer. We're representing you. We're on your side, okay?
Okay.
So we've heard the argument you built for this, and it was sound. I see the pillars here. For my part, I feel like what I appreciate about the way that you all these discussions that we've ever had, going back as far as like when Andrew and I were in jazz in middle school probably, and we spoke in our last episode about some of our historical musical sharing that we've done. And I'm very grateful to the whole Morrell family for the music that we have shared over the years. Big part of our growing up, me and Andrew and all the rest of the crew. So I'm grateful for that. But, what makes so much sense is your approach to it is so meticulous. You really came prepared. And even though the conversation is free range, there's some good nutrients in this, in the eggs that we collected, if you will. So I'm thinking on we're talking about how these Les Paul and Mary Ford, they changed music, period, full stop. Like that's a kind of like basically the core of it. And I think from there you built onto like what was special about each of them individually between their voice and the musicianship. And I think it's a lovely song, and I think it has a very important role to play in the story that we tell ourselves about how music was created. So I'm on board with this one, Michael. What about you?
I appreciate very much that I asked the question about like where Les sits in the history of the electric guitar, and I was like, I know Doug's gonna know the answer to this. So I appreciated that. Yeah. That does make me wonder now. I'm going to go searching to see if someone has written a book about the history of the electric guitar, because I'm curious to know about that. It just makes me think about like watching Back to the Future when he's playing Johnny Be Good, and I'm like, is that when like where does that sit in terms of like the chronology? Anyway,
the butterfly effect, if you will.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. I mean, I appreciate the fact that you even said towards the beginning, like part of the reason you wanted to talk about this is reminders, like reminding people about why, like where all this came from, because this is whether we're treating this as a single or we're talking about any of the compilations that feature this song and the other songs recorded by Les Paul and Mary Ford, which also we haven't even talked at all about the like intros they would provide sometimes to some of these songs, where it sounds like they're doing like starting a commercial for them. Anyway, right. That's
they
something else.
Were at some points. Honestly.
I mean, probably, yeah. Or like I just got visions of like, or you're listening to like a variety hour on the radio or something, and then
brought to you by like, hey, L&M cigarettes.
Yeah, exactly. I was waiting for that, like a ding or something. Yeah. But I mean,
brought to you by Ovaltine.
Yeah. I just think that we're better for knowing this, for having listened to this album or track or whatever, and understanding where it sits, because so often this podcast does go into the subjective and what an album means to a specific person, and we try not to get too into the music theory weeds or in the music history weeds, but like I think it is important every once in a while to remember like where this all came from. That the idea of the fact that he's one of the first people who thought of multi-track recording, and that's something that we just take for granted now. Yeah. And I think I liked this, being able to sort of like step back for a second and remind ourselves where all of our favorite music came from, essentially. So
I'll put it to you, Michael. Tell us, has Doug done enough? Has he built a strong enough case for How High the Moon by Les Paul and Mary Ford to be included in the This One Goes to 11 pantheon? Does it go to 11?
I think it does.
Hear, hear. Huzzah!
I think it would be crazy if we were like, we're not admitting Les Paul to the pantheon, even though he has like, doesn't he have like a permanent exhibit at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
He's one of the only people that does. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, because he made such a significant contribution. So yeah.
Well done.
Yeah, I'd like to just state for the record, in my defense of being in the weeds, okay?
Weeds are good.
These things.
Weeds are good.
But yet somewhat scatterbrained if we talk about focus and, topical.
What are you talking about? It's
adhesion.
Great. Yeah.
But, it's my engineering background, okay? So it's,
right.
I go to the details. I
appreciate that about you.
I look inside everything and, try to figure it out. How do they do it? What's going on?
I love it. It's one of your best qualities. What's one of your best qualities? So, okay.
It can get annoying though.
We love it. That's why we invited you back. So
we're nerds.
Pause on that talk.
We're nerds about this.
So anytime you want to go into something similar, let me know.
Go on an adventure. Yeah, it's great.
I have a thought I'm going to run by Tyler. I feel like there might be a way we can get you back to talk about some things here. But I want to talk to Tyler first before I propose the idea. So we'll dangle that carrot for you and for our listeners here.
Stay tuned.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, okay, Doug, you've been wonderful. We give people here an opportunity to plug something if they want. Do you have something that you want to plug? Do you want to plug your Instagram so that people can see Tang and your cars and such?
Well, I could. I've been away from it. I've been sidetracked with the second car.
Right.
Yes.
It's yellow.
Tang the Orange Volvo is Instagram handle, which I haven't put much on there lately.
But go check it out. It's a beautiful car.
So now I have the second one called Limoncello.
Limoncello.
Which is, of course...
You're a maniac.
Which I'm in the process of rehabbing, and I'm going to sell it. It's not going to stick around. It's going to find a home.
A foster child, yeah.
And that's right. So watch for that. I don't have any books to plug. I don't have a new album coming out.
Or if there's any like things you've been listening to, shows you've been watching. Like, I mean, it's anything you want to plug.
Anything. One last plug.
Anything. Yeah. Well, let's see. Severance. I can't get enough Severance.
We were just talking about this. Yeah.
If there's another season coming, I wish they'd hurry up.
They're coming.
I've heard it's going to be a year. It's going to be at least a year or so.
Another year. Okay. Yeah.
We kind of.
I don't know. Season 2. I don't know.
I'm so in. I love it.
I don't know. I enjoyed it, but yes,
it's wacky.
It's a frustrating show because you're like spit it out. What is it?
Yeah, they know what they want to reveal. It's just they're dangling the carrot forever.
They're so good at it. Yeah. Well, I can echo that on the Severance thing. I can't wait for it to come back. But okay, Doug, it's been a real pleasure. This has been good. We're going to follow up with you on some ideas that sounds like Michael has, but thank you for coming on this week.
It's always a pleasure to talk to you guys. I'm honored. Hope the people don't get tired of me. I'm
pish posh on that. That's about enough of that. Okay.
All right. I'm not their. I don't want to be their grandpa out here.
We love it. You are a grandpa. You should be a grandpa. That's what we want.
Lecturing. I don't want to be lecturing about the good old days, the way it used to be.
The good old days are right now, but.
Yeah.
All right. So let's get out of here, Michael. You got anything else you need before we hit it?
Just our usual reminder, find us on all the social medias and we'll let you know what's coming up. Maybe that's where we'll reveal our idea for how to bring Doug back.
Social media release. Yeah. Keep it up.
All right.
For sure.
All right. Good luck,
So I
guys.
guess that all there is left to say is bye.
Yeah. Bye.